Hello, everyone. Very exciting. We're going to be celebrating the holiday of Purim this Tuesday. And I had some friends reach out to me telling me that unfortunately they're not able to celebrate the day because they're either going to be at work in the office all day or because they are students, they have midterms, they're going to be on campus all day, and therefore they're not able to celebrate the holiday. And I wanted to respond to that to give a short presentation on how to navigate those situations. And just because you can't dress up, you can't go out to the community, you can't party with friends and family, you can't have a big feast, doesn't mean that you can't be a part of the day and you can't be a part of this awesome holiday. Now, obviously, it is important to note that the ideal, the best, is to take that day off from work, to take that day off from school, and to celebrate it fully with the community, with family and friends. But just because you can't, you're unable to, doesn't mean you can't still be a part of. So to start, I think it is essential that we understand what are the requirements of the day, what mitzvot, halachot, set up the structure of the day, and then we can move to the ideas, the concepts that we're supposed to connect to. What is the day trying to get us at? So to start, we have four mitzvot, four obligations that we're required to perform on the day of Purim. The first one is hearing the Megillah being read. The Megillah tells the miraculous story of what happened on Purim and why we're celebrating, and we're required to hear the Megillah being read one time at night and one time, so Monday night, which is coming up right now, and one more time on the day itself, so on Tuesday. Now, every community is going to have many different times that they're going to have readings, so for someone that needs to be out of the house, they can look at their schedule, when is it best for them to hear the Megillah before they go out to work, and there's readings that take place very, very early in the morning in what we call a Netz Minyan. So check that out and find a time to hear the Megillah that fits best for you. The second mitzvah, the second obligation we have is matanot le'evyonim. Matanot le'evyonim is the requirement to give two gifts to two poor people, to two people in need. This could either be money, this could be food, and it has to be delivered on the day itself of Purim. Now, you can fulfill this obligation by having someone else do it on your behalf. So that's what I do. I have a very good friend who collects money for families that are unfortunately struggling financially, and you can give him money before Purim, and then on the day itself of Purim, he distributes all the money, so you're fulfilling your obligation of matanot le'evyonim. So for someone who doesn't have a lot of time during the day, this is obviously the best option to give money before Purim, and that will be delivered on the day itself. If you're interested, you can reach out and I can send you some links of people who do this. The third requirement is mishloach manot, which is delivering at least two food items to at least one friend. So it became very popular today to sort of have hundreds of bags of food delivered to everyone in the community, but ultimately the requirement is two food items to one friend. Now, just like the money for those in need, that could be delivered by someone else on your behalf on the day itself of Purim. And for someone who is going to be in the office all day, won't be able to see anyone, then you can prepare the gifts before and have it delivered to your friend on the day itself on your behalf. Another option is if you're going to go to the synagogue earlier in the morning to go hear the reading and you're going to see your friend, you're going to see someone, you can deliver it to them there. Or if you know someone in the office, you can deliver it to them in person. Now the fourth requirement of the day is the seudah, or the meal, the feast. This is described as having meat or wine, having bread, but it goes by preference. It's basically having a meal that's more special, more fancy, something a little bit extra than our usual breakfast or lunch that we generally have. This can be fulfilled by, having a nicer lunch, packing for yourself something from before that's not just your regular sandwich, but actually something a little bit fancier, or treating yourself out and ordering out, or if you have time to go out for lunch, then go out and treat yourself. to something fancier, to something nicer. Enjoy good food, whatever you find to be the most enjoyable to you. Treat yourself out. Now, the best, obviously, is also if you know of others in your campus or in your office that are Jewish that are celebrating the day, then invite them out. Take them out to have lunch with you somewhere nicer. So that's the fourth and final requirement of the day, which is Seudat Purim. Also, a note to that part of the Seudah, part of this meal is having a l'chaim, is having a drink. So obviously that's not always available to people on campus or in the office. But if possible, and you're out for lunch, then if possible, grab yourself some alcohol and have a l'chaim. Enjoy the meal. So in summary, there are four mitzvot, four requirements that we have in the day. We have the hearing of the Megillah. We have giving the gift to your friends. We have matanot le'avyonim, giving gifts to those in need. And finally, having a more special, a nicer meal. Now, what is Purim? What are the ideas of Purim? What are we trying to connect to? So first off, just to start, which is if we look at the mitzvot, if we look at the requirements, a lot of them, giving gifts to the poor, giving gifts to our friends, having a meal with others, right? All of that is pushing us towards social unity, social cohesion. We're meant to connect to our people around us. We're meant to connect to our friends, to build closer relationships. And the idea is recognizing that we're not alone in the world. We're not alone in the universe. We're not these floating agents with no connection, but rather we're part of a nation. We're part of this unity. We're part of this narrative, of this chain of transmission. We're not alone. We're part of something bigger than ourselves. That's the first idea of Purim. Another idea of Purim is accepting the randomness of the world around us. So when confronted with the chaos of the world, there's generally two responses. The first one is self-projection. So we project an order to the universe that doesn't really exist, but it makes us feel good because now we actually have order. So that could be in whatever political thought and whatever ideologies we connect ourselves to. We sort of say it's this way or the highway, and we project that onto the universe and assert control when there is no control to be had. The other option is to say, yes, the world is chaotic, and that's it. And that's it. You throw down meaning, you throw down value, you say, the world is randomness, and that's it. I sit back, I can't do anything about it, I'm not going to do anything about it, and then you have this very cold and unnerving world. But for Israel, there's a third option. This is recognizing that the world has randomness to it, that we are not ultimately in control of everything around us, but at the same time to recognize that the world has a direction, that there's a direction to this randomness, that the world has a director that's leading the world somewhere. And ultimately, justice, righteousness, beauty, the good always finds its expression, always has the last laugh. That's in the words of Martin Luther King, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Ultimately, we don't know how it's going to play out. We don't know that the world seems to be random. There's all these different expressions and how it's going to play out, but ultimately it ends in good, in justice, in righteousness that always has the upper hand. So recognizing that the world, we're not in total control of the world, but still being present and still having our hearts open and being willing to be a part of the world and to just go with the flow and see what happens and just be present in the world as it unfolds. That is another idea of Purim, this idea of acceptance of the randomness and ultimately recognizing that in that randomness, the Almighty God is leading the world, He's present in that, and that is another one of the big ideas of Purim. So even though you're not out in the community celebrating, jumping around, you still can fulfill all of these requirements of the day, and not only to fulfill the requirements, but also to connect to the ideas of unity, of being connected to the nation, and also accepting wholeheartedly the world around us without having to assert control. So in your office and campus, take a few minutes to not only to fulfill the day and to enjoy the day, but also to meditate on those ideas, to come closer to those ideas, to make that part of yourself. And just because you're on campus, just because you're at work, doesn't mean you can't have an incredible Purim. Chag Sameach, guys. Have an awesome holiday.